Start streaming. Today we're going to try and fix this sad little poor little iPhone 8 Plus. Look at this little iPhone 8 Plus. It's just so beat up. This is a case of girlfriend damage. Girlfriend damage, we don't see it as much as we used to, but it's always something like this. Oh, hey, baby, you broke your phone. That's okay. Don't worry. I got this. I fix phones. So you take your girlfriend's phone because you're going to impress her. You're going to change that screen. You open up the phone, and then something goes wrong, and you put the screen in, and it doesn't light up. Well, you can't give it back to her like this. So you try another screen. Doesn't light up. So you try to clean the connectors with alcohol. Doesn't light up. Hey, buddy, you fix phones. Try this screen. And before you know it, you look down and you've really trashed the phone. And that's what it looks like happened to this poor phone. Look at it. Look at the connector. That's a lot. It takes a lot to get the phone to this point. So let's see if we can figure out where did this repair go off the rails. And let's see if we can fix the girlfriend damage so that we can give this phone back to somebody's girlfriend and they can get all their data and be happy. So let's take a look. So over here, let me see if this is actually working. Let me make sure, because I see a big red dot. Girlfriend damage. Yes, girlfriend damage. All right, let me see if I can see some comments over here. Let's go like this. And old-fashioned live repair stream. Let's do that. Yeah, I guessed wrong. Missing a stream. Yes. All right. So I think it's working. Let's go ahead and try to fix the girlfriend damage. So looking at the top, everything looks okay up here. And then we can see our first clue. This is like anger management. It is hard to chew up a screw bracket that much. That is basically like a funnel. Like there is no thread. Look at that's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen one that bad. There's no threads at all. It's just a tube. Yeah, that is just like, I'm gonna make it work. Frustration right there. All right, let's see. Probably what happened on this phone from the beginning, almost certainly, was boom, right here. So let's look here so that you can get yourself out of trouble if you are fixing an 8 Plus. And it seems like it should work because it was just a screen replacement. It's not turning on. Put your eyeballs right here before you do anything else. So there's a missing component. A missing component that's been missing for quite some time because you can't even see, somebody's like probed and pushed around there, right? So let's guess that guy is probably the first thing that just accidentally got knocked off on the very first time that homie tried to replace the girlfriend screen. Now, what would that cause? So let's look it up. Let's go to ZXW. Here's ZXW. All right, here's ZXW, and we're going to drill down and say, who is this guy? So let's look at a broad view. So we're talking about at the very end of that home button connector, there's a little dude, and his name is FL5705. And FL5705, I have seen even technicians here in this shop accidentally knock this off. So it's pretty common. And one thing I've noticed is that the 2 times that I've seen this guy get knocked off, the technician was a left-handed technician. All left-handed technicians are fantastic. They're naturally good at board repair. So if you're a left-handed technician, watch out for FL5705. Now, what happens if you knock it off? Well, let's see. This guy's a filter, and he's connecting our display power line. Our 1.8 volts for display power is crossing through here from PP1V8IO, is going through the filter to turn into PP1V8 display. And then from there, it's going to go out and plug in here at the connector, go into your screen, and light up that image. So if you just fingernail knock that guy off, then no matter what you do after that, no matter how hard you screw in the screw, no matter how much you probe around here, like I don't even know how you how you tear up this. No matter how much you probe and like they dug this up hard, it doesn't matter. Your image is not coming back. And if you keep beating on it long enough, then you are going to do bad things, like rip up. I mean, this is really bad. Rip the pins right out of the connector. And then I don't know why all these guys are missing. Like, a lot of stuff is just sort of knocked off. Like, I'm having a hard time putting it together, other than I gotta fix it with a hammer. I have no idea. What do you guys think happened in chat? Let's see. Homie, don't fix that. Oh, that is a pretty old reference. Homie the Clown. Yes, I remember old Homie. Then we got some shenanigans going on. We got a piece of, somebody took a bite out of the battery connector, and we are missing our battery data MOSFET right there. In fact, not only missing it, but we're missing a pad. That's going to be a big deal. All right, let's dive in. So this is just kind of see broke, fix broke repair, a good old-fashioned repair stream. So let me see if I can find out how to pop out chat. And what should we fix first? First, let's put back the missing filter. And since I don't have another one, I'm just going to stick a wire there because the filter pretty much is a wire. All right. Briz says he probably thought to remove shorted caps. I have absolutely no idea why you'd do some of this stuff. All right, so step one, let's fix the original problem first. So let's see, how long will it take to correct all of this? Let's see, it's 8:44. Can we fix this phone before my watch charges up? And then I have to put it back on. Let's find out. All right, so I'm going to stick a wire on here. And all right, so chat, I've got an idea for a video. I want to mess around with the Apple self-service repair stuff. So do you think that it will be possible to have the phone, any phone, like an iPhone 12 or 13, if I put an aftermarket screen on it, will I be able to pair the aftermarket screen to the device if I buy an OEM self-service part? What do you think? Will it work or not? Because that is what I want to try out, probably tomorrow. I am curious if anybody from Apple Authorized can tell me, no, it's not going to work. Don't waste your time. Or what do you guys think? All right, we don't really need this home button, but we cannot allow it to touch other things. No touching other. Got to keep your hands to yourself. Got to keep your feet to yourself. So we got to make this connector behave. No bridging together. All right, that seems okay. All right, now that leads us to this connector, and this connector is going to have to go. So we're going to take off this connector. We'll put a new connector on, and then we'll start measuring all this stuff. So let's give that a try. All right. IRP here have already tried. Well, what happens? What happens if you try to pair an aftermarket screen? What does it just say? Does it say no? What's the 411? All right, let's see what the 411 is on that while we take off this old connector, and then we're gonna have to figure out what kind of jumpers and whatnot that we need to run after that. All right, let's see. All right, this will be very interesting, says Brendan. All right, so we'll see. When 6 p.m. approaches, it's a snack and vegetables for a bunch of people I don't know. What? Another vote for probably no. Apple is going to be Apple. We'll see. All right. It says, Briz says, it just rejects it on repair cal and on system configuration. Just flat out gives a warning and fails. It'd be worth a try, but I believe not because they don't have the same chip as the OEM ones. All right, well, we will try it. In the very least, it'll be really funny to have a conversation with whoever's job it is to talk to the DIY self-service repair people. Maybe we could, that would be a pretty fun conversation to have. What happens? Will the device pair the aftermarket screen if you start crying? How about that? Will that work? I'm not sure. All right, so we're missing a bunch of stuff. Let's go ahead and start cleaning up what we have left here. Oof. That's rough. I would really like to just be able to know exactly what happened. All right, I saw you appeared in the local Rochester news. You did? How did you see that? Where did... Well, that was really funny. Like, the news came by, and the news anchor who came by to just kind of talk about right to repair, she starts telling me, like, after we stopped filming, she's like, I went to the Apple store and they told me that they couldn't get her data from her old iPhone. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What happened to it? She's like, nothing. It was one that she backed up to her own computer. And then because, she wants to know where things are, God forbid, she moved the Apple backup from the default iTunes backup folder. She just moved it to her desktop, which is totally fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. So then when she plugged in the new phone to restore, obviously iTunes didn't know where her backup was. So she then was like, oh, I guess you're not supposed to do that. So she called Apple Help, and Apple Help told her, oh, if you move the backup out of the folder, then it loses formatting and you won't be able to restore your new phone from that backup. What? So I really hope, I told her, well, get back in here, because she said she still had the backup. So I showed her, on a phone, like, look, you can totally do that, and it totally is fine. You can move the backup anywhere you want, and then return it to the folder that iTunes expects it to be in, and voila, it's just like it never left. All right, let's see. That one looks pretty beat up, pretty unlikely to survive. Oh, man. Rough. All right, let's get a little 200 hair dryer heat so that we can clean out these torn off ones and kind of see what we're working with on this. All right, let's get some hair dryer heat. All right, did someone melt that connector with a soldering iron? Or did a Ryanair plane? What's that? What's a Ryanair airplane? Is that some kind? Do you fly planes?
No, I know people that do.
Huh?
I said I know a number of people that do. Do you want to focus on it?
Wait, you actually know people that fly planes?
I actually know 2 people my age that
Your age? Oh, hell no. Oh my God. After witnessing teenagers trying to park in my driveway, there's zero chance that I would get in any kind of airplane.
both of them are licensed to fly alone.
What? How old do you have to be to get a license? I want you to be like 14, just like a boat. It's funny, I just read that the state of New York, in its infinite wisdom, is going to start requiring everybody. So every old man on the lake is going to have to take the boater safety course. And they're like staging it out where they're like, all right, if you were born before 1988, then you got to have a boater safety certificate by 2022, or something like that. And then it went on for a few years, and I was just looking at it, and it was like, and then by 2025, everyone. That's going to be a hoot to watch that go down. All right, here we go.
That's the population of people that don't want that. We do not want the 80-year-old guys conning their boats don't want to have to go in for
Yeah, going for
it's
school.
like an insult. It's It's like degradation of character.
They will not be authorized. All right. Somebody, Captain Brian says Ryanair lands hard all the time. Captain Brian, are you the captain of an airplane? Maybe on Ryanair? All right, let's see. Does that look okay? I suppose. All right, let's go ahead and investigate these 3 missing pads. Ryan, did you get a chance to look at this phone that I did not put in your queue because I'm really nice? Look at how messed up it was. Look, the connector I just took off was already missing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, missing. These are all chewed up. It was all chewed up over here. It's missing a whole bunch of things right there. And look at this long screw damage. This screw is like, you could make funnel cake with that if you just took that off. It has no like threads whatsoever at all.
Some would say that that phone is screwed.
Some would say that. All right, let's count and see, what are we missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We are missing 13, 14, and 15. Okay. And that really drifts out of focus. Let's look them up on the amazing ZXW. Let's check it out and see. All right, so we're gonna slide down here and count from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so we're gonna be missing lines that are important for PP5V1 Touch, PP1V8 Touch, and PN5V7 display, it looks like. All right, so all of these lines pretty much just go to the nearby neighbors. So we're going to deal with that after we put on a new connector. All right, so we're going to have to put a new connector on. Let's look around. Is there any reason to be worried about putting on a new connector right now? Is there anything in our way? Is there any particular reason to repair these kind of slightly damaged or completely missing pads in advance? And we're going to say no. All right, we're going to put a connector on, and then we're going to diode mode the whole thing and solve any problems. Where will we get a new connector, you might ask? Well, I will tell you. I did not have an 8 Plus connector. In fact, there might be one somewhere in the shop, maybe in the store, but what I do have is newly available for sale at iPadRehab.store is an iCloud locked donor board. So I got a fresh old 8 Plus here that I'm going to harvest all the little parts and pieces that we might need. Now, don't go actually look for these in the store right now, because I told Christy to go ahead and list the iCloud locked boards that I tested out about 10 minutes ago. So if you are watching this live, which is at 8:56 p.m. on Thursday night, that will not be listed just yet. But check back soon, really soon, and you will see iCloud lock boards, practice boards, because like I always say, when you're learning to do repair, work on working boards. Work on working boards so that you know whether or not your connector replacement worked, because if it did, then the board's still working, and if it didn't, then you know what the problem is. All right, so we're gonna harvest this 8 Plus display connector, so let's go ahead and do that. Quiet on the set, since I only have one of these. I'd really rather not have it go flying away or come to any harm from my removal surgery. So let's see if we can take off and yet preserve for reuse this lovely connector. All right, let's see if we can do that. All right, there we go. Ryanair land hard most of the time. Pilots and aviation geeks make fun of it. And if an aviation YouTuber saw this, such as a bunch of people, they would think Ryanair landed on the connector. All right, a little aviation humor on the channel. Now, is it a cultural thing, some places in the world, that you should applaud whenever the pilot successfully lands the aircraft and no one dies? Like, is that a thing? There we go. Nice and easy. Beautiful, beautiful. And if so, where in the world is that a cultural norm? Because it seems like on some flights, or is it just all flights that anyone lands in or into Chicago, which always seem particularly death-defying, that you're supposed to applaud? I don't know. Love the cyberpunk microphone. Yeah, microphones is always a challenge. A lot of complaints, Uh-oh, I picked up a piece of the sticker. Now I'm doing more girlfriend damage. All by myself. All right. Let's see if we can get this guy to go on. All right. What is my phone freaking out about? All right, that seems like it's on there, more or less. Let's see. My phone is freaking out because it wants me to scan my new hobby. My new glucose monitor, which is for fun. Look at that rocking glucose score, 87. Yeah, new hobby. I went to see a nutritionist in Buffalo, and I really like that guy because he has a DEXA scanner, and I love data, and I love DIY physiology. And as part of my new hobby, I like to do 30-day challenges. Maybe you want to join me. My new 30-day challenge, which starts pretty much today, is what happens if you spend 30 days trying to never make this thing go up more than 20 points? Can it be done? What happens if you do it? So that's the fun new thing. All right, let's kind of go over some of these with the iron. Actually, we don't really even need to. Those all look pretty good. Maybe a little bit of help down here at this end. And then we're going to go look up all of those jumpers and see what the deal is. More of a feat surviving a visit to Chicago than landing in it. You know what? I've never visited Chicago. I've never left it. Now, the Chicago airport, I've logged a lot of miles running around from one side of that thing to the other, but I've never left the airport. And I've always wanted to, because in Rochester, there's an overnight train. The overnight train is super fun. So there's Amtrak. We'll go from Rochester to New York City, which I've done that trip a bunch of times, and it is really fun to ride the train. And it's extremely fun to ride the train in the roomette, and that is like one of my favorite ways to travel. So that train will turn around and go to Chicago overnight, which I think sounds really cool, to like get on the train in Rochester at 10 or 11 o'clock at night and then wake up in Chicago. Would be pretty fun. All right, let's look at this side and see if we need to help out any of these joints. We'll help out a couple of them, but they seem also pretty okay. But I've never done it. On the bucket list, take the overnight train to Chicago. All right. Let's see. Andrew Bushy. What's a good temperature to remove these connectors without melting them? Oh, any temperature, really. I mean, any temperature. It really doesn't matter. Mark did come over here during the last course, because he does get a little aggravated that it is in fact true that my station, when other people use my station, I love my station. My station works great. But when other people use my station, They claim that my station runs 50 degrees too cold compared to any other station around, which, maybe is true. It is my original JBC station that I started with back when I probably got that station in 2015 and never did anything to it. So given how my computer, that I also never did anything to, looked when we opened that up, this JBC might have some problems. So Mark got out the thermocouple and he finally came over. He's like, I knew it. Your station is 50 degrees too cold. So it doesn't matter. In fact, at the last class, a guy over here, I was like, you're fired from looking at the temperature. And I just put a Post-it note over it because it's all by feel, not by temperature. All right. A little lower than you would use to solder a chip on at the same board. Keep moving it so it doesn't concentrate at a single point. Okay. Maybe you got to replace some heating elements. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, now let's go see what are we going to do about these missing guys. Let's clean it up a little bit so that we can at least see. Love JBC, own nothing but their equipment. Well, I have to say this JBC has lasted a really long time. Now, I bought the identical JBC for my buddy Lewis way back when we were when we both kind of fell in love with it when they gave us one to demo. It was a mistake to demo it. We demoed it and we were like, oh, this is really nice. But it's like a super expensive machine. I would never get another one. I would just get a Quick now. But back then it was like, oh, it's so nice. So then it was, he loved it so much. I was like, all right, I'm going to buy it for him as a, thank you for helping me teach the course way back when we first started it. And then I was like, well, let me just make sure it works first. So I started using it. That was a mistake because then I also fell in love with it. And then I had to buy 2 JBCs and that really sucked. And then he quickly broke his. So he was able to destroy his pretty readily. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, that one's okay. So the 14th pin, let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, 14. Now that's a number. I got to remember the number 14 for at least 14 seconds. One of the things I remember back when I was teaching at RIT, when I first started having kids, I had to swear off doing math in public. Like not even 7 plus 6, because there was some time where I was like adding up lab results, like tell me your results, and writing them down on the whiteboard, and I had to add them. And it was something like super obvious, 59 plus 6, and I just stared at it. 65, I don't know. And it was just like, I'm never doing this again. And I think it has to do with the sleep deprivation. So 14. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is pin 21. So let's make sure you guys can see that. I just counted up in ZXW to pin 21. That is the 14th one that is missing. And its destination, PP1V8 Touch, it goes to this little neighboring capacitor. And if we flip the board, let's see. Oh, it's not the kind that we flip. And then it's going to go over here to the other side of the board. So our only shot, we have to make sure that we can get it here onto the edge of this cap. So we got to make a tiny little jumper. All right, so maybe I can make that jumper with a tiny piece of copper braid. That might be too big, and I'll have to get out some jumper wire. All right, so let's see. The tiny cap is number 1, 2, 3, 4 up from that choke. Let's see if we can go actually find this and see, is it going to be something that we can actually solder to. I'm late to the show. What's the story with this repair? This is some girlfriend damage. Somebody just got real mad at this, I guess, and probably knocked off this filter early on, which I jumped. And then they just took a hammer to this board, which sounds like they got really frustrated. Probably she dumped him. That's probably what happened. It's girlfriend damage, and then when he had to turn to her and say, "I'm sorry, honey. It turns out I can't fix your phone." "But it was just a cracked screen. I thought you did that all the time." "Look, I tried. What do you expect from me? Why are you such a bitch? Don't talk to me like that. This is over." It's probably dumped, and then he just started wailing on this phone. That seems, I mean, I have no evidence that that's what happened, but according to my crystal ball, I think that's what's going on here. All right, so we got to get missing pin number 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Missing pin 14 has to go in 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, seems easy enough. That's just going to go right to the local nearby dude. Should be easy. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, better than a soap opera. I don't know about that. All right. And then lots of miscellaneous chit-chat about who knows what. All right. Anybody here local? Local to Rochester, Honey Eye Falls area? Well, if you are local, then you should come on down tomorrow to the HFL Unplugged show, where you can see my kid Bailey and iPad Rehab Ryan Daler, that you just saw over there, perform Billy Joel song, which is going to be tight according to the kids these days. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, this is going on right there. That might have come off on that end. Maybe. Did it? I can't tell. All right, let's diode mode. Pin 14 in diode mode. Did you get yourself straight? Hi from Canada, says Michael. Hey, former student Michael. What are you up to? What's going on in your neck of the woods? Let's see. Pin 14. Pin 14 says, nope, I'm not touching that guy. Or there's a problem over here, which is equally possible, but I do kind of feel like it might have come off from the actual pin. Yeah, so let's do it again. I want it to be on there first and on here second. Okay, and then we'll just wiggle that off. You don't need to be there. Fine. All right. And we'll just keep doing that until diode mode recovered. Copaz, $10. Insane microsoldering skill is all you. Thanks, Copaz. Thanks for a $10 tip. I appreciate it. All right, diode mode is 0.525. Yay! All right, pin 14 is back in business. Okay. It should be an awesome performance. Yes, it should be an awesome performance. Okay. Had my first FlexGate case yesterday successfully done. Well, Michael, which method did you choose? How did you fix your FlexGate? Because that's always fun to hear. All right, so pin 14 is done, and we're going to head over to ZXW, and in theory, we're going to head over. Where is it? ZXW, show yourself. We're going to head over to ZXW, turn it back on, and now we're going to go up one to the very next guy, and it is pin 15 in a row, pin number 19 for PP5E1 touch. All right, and that is also going to the nearby capacitor. And then it's going to go over to the other side of the board. So our only spot that makes sense is to restore service to that fine pin with another jumper. All right, so now we've got to get a super tiny jumper on the adjacent pin without bothering the first super tiny jumper. So let's do that. Let's kind of show some scale with my finger. It's like really, really, really tiny. In fact, I should get some rice out. For the last 2 summers, I have had this plan that I've never done, but I got all the stuff for it, which was to do some kind of experiment to show that, to scientifically show that rice really doesn't dry phones. It doesn't actually do anything at all. as far as removing water, right? If you leave rice next to some water, the rice is not going to like change in any way. All right, so let's see. I thought there were 3 that were missing. Where's the third? Is the third okay? Is this one the third and it's magically fine? Okay, we'll see. All right, let's tag into the foot of this thing first. So I was thinking about like how to scientifically do that. So I bought like a hygrometer. So that's the humidity measuring dude. And there, nope, almost. Get on there, buddy. All right, he's on there. That's fine. And you're going to, I think, the adjacent neighbor, but I got to check on that. So I thought, like, how would anybody believe, you know, how could I, like, establish the time? Yeah, it goes on the adjacent guy. How could I do that? And I thought I could plant radish seeds. And that would like, you know, you could kind of do a time lapse because radish like grows super quick. But the point is that right over there behind that green screen, I have a bag of rice, and I should just take a grain of rice and just kind of leave it on one of these repair streams just so you can kind of see the scale, because this stuff is quite small. It is quite tiny indeed. All right, so let's do a little diode mode on that one. So ZXW says diode mode is supposed to be 0.488. All right, now the PN line is going to be a little bit of a challenge. All right, so we'll have to go back and check on that. All right, so let's go check. Diode mode, what do you say? Diode mode. Red probe on ground, and let's see, where are we going? This one, 0.5, and the next one is 0.5, yay! All right, so we got those 2 back together. But this one here is the one that is going to be tough. So we're going to have to look at it and see. So we have a PN line, and the PN lines always have a super high diode mode reading. In fact, it's over the limit of most multimeters. So we're going to do the unthinkable. Black probe on ground. Black probe on ground for diode mode on that PN line, which is right here. And it looks like it's actually legit open. All right, so then we've got to stare down and say that third pad that seemed to be mostly missing. All right, it looks like it is, I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to just touch that without touching the adjacent jumper. That's a challenge. So 2 jumpers and then this guy. Let's give that a try. That's going to be really, really tight to get in there. All right, he's soldered on there. And we're going to just check. What say ye, diode mode? In the red probe on ground direction, he's open. And in the black probe on ground, he's open. Which means, let's go hunt down on ZXW and kind of investigate that a little bit more. So ZXW, we are investigating. This one's done, that one's done. This is the one, all right? So, aha, the PN5V7 is going to measure very high, and the multimeter might say, over my limit, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly how high, I just know it's high, but I can't say if it's higher, you know, I can't tell you exactly the number, so I'm just gonna say, oh well. So that's really hard to tell from actually being open. So could it actually be open? Yes, because look, it looks like that line goes over here to a cap on the edge, and then there's a filter, FL5710. Let's go put our eyeballs on that guy, a filter that's right next to this data choke. So let's go hunt that sucker down. So we will see, we'll put our eyes on it and make sure that it is indeed actually there. All right. Greetings from Argentina, a Louis Rossmann fan. Well, I'm glad that you love, I'm also a fan of Louis Rossmann, although you'll have to tell me what he's been up to lately, because I have been busy since I've only talked to him a little bit in the last week or so since coming back from World Finals. If you haven't heard, the all-girls vehicle team that I coached since they were in 2nd grade. Now they are wise, old, sage, experienced Odyssey of the Mind creative problem solvers, and they took 8th place in the world at the World Finals in Iowa, which was, I think, the most fun trip I've been on in as long as I can remember. Super fun. That's just such an awesome team. I love those girls. So we're gonna do whatever it takes to get to World Finals again. All right. And lo and behold, the good old filter at the PN 5v7 line was indeed knocked off the board. Shocker. And we're going to just stick a wire on that one too. And now we'll see whether or not we get a diode mode reading in that opposite direction. All right, so let's wiggle that off. And then let's see. Hi from Algeria. All right. All right. He went off to Florida, came back. Love from Quebec, Canada. Look at that. 2 people from Canada. All right. Let's go back and diode mode right here. All right. So one of the questions I asked earlier, have you tried this? Are you IRP, Apple authorized? Maybe you work at the Apple Store. Maybe you work at the Depot. What happens if you try to take an aftermarket screen and pair it using the serial number from an OEM screen? What happens if I buy an OEM screen from self-service and then I just put an aftermarket screen and I tell them it's an OEM screen and try to pair those two? What will happen? Will that work, or does it not have the right screen ICs, or what do you predict is going to happen? I would like to know, and I am sure that we can get some good answers from you guys here. All right, let's see. We've got this one is good. This one's good. This one is reading 1.4. That sounds good. And in the opposite direction, black probe on ground, we're getting 0.6. Yay! So that means our 3 pads that we knew that we could see with our eyes were completely destroyed and gone off the board are in fact making good contact. So that's good. It's almost worth it to diode mode this entire connector because we can see a bunch of missing dudes. We got a missing guy there, missing guy there, missing guy there. Those are probably... actually, I don't know. I think we will have to look them up. All right, let's look these up individually. All right. Okay, when they ship those screens, I'd imagine they keep track of the serial number. I don't know, because the shipping, when I got the one that I did for my phone, so I put the OEM self-repair on here, it said like, oh, you'll get it in 5 to 7 days, but I actually got it in like 2 days. So I wonder if they, and then they seem pretty disorganized too. When I called up the lady, she had never done it. Here we go. If you try to pair OEM pull or refurb, it'll say it's been used on a previous repair. Probably the OEM screen has its own serial number, and all Apple do is assigning the new serial. That's what I wonder, if it's just like kind of a generic serial number and it just says, what's your serial number? Okay, that's your phone now. I don't know. But I'm curious to try. Hi from Hungary. It's 3:20 a.m. Triska, go to sleep. It is not a good idea to stay up past 3:20 a.m. watching a boring repair video. You need your rest. Time for bed. Lights out. Mom says, turn the lights out. All right, let's go back to ZXW now, and we are going to check to see if all of these little missing guys, missing, is that going to be something we need to fix before we can try this repair. So let's find out. Let's go up to the top, and the first one is a resistor, and that resistor is present. Yay! All right, the next one, look at that, is a filter, and it is missing. But since it's a filter, we can put a wire there. We cannot put a wire where a resistor is supposed to be. It's got to be the resistor. But we can put a wire where the filter is. All right, so so we're going to wire that one, and then the next two, the next one is okay. The next one is majorly beat up. So I don't know if it's still going to work, but it is still present. And then we've got the next filter, touch, to always on processor. Sounds important. All right, so we're going to have to stick that there, unless they're no stuffs, which I really, ZXW is not going to be able to tell the difference between no stuffs and not no stuffs. This is really interesting. Every single one of these filters is knocked off, but the capacitor, the only thing that you could knock off, is still there. All right, so this is a filter that's missing as well. All right, you know what I might do? I kind of wish I had done this differently now. Since I do have this lovely donor board, I could just go grab all of these from the donor board and just kind of go down the row. But that will almost certainly make my jumpers lift off that I just put on. Probably should have had some planning here. All right, so let's actually do one of them. Why not? Let's do something. So we'll see if it makes the jumpers come off or not. All right. Your green screen game is absolutely perfect. Well, thank you. It's just a couple of green screens right there, right behind me. All right. We are going to grab from the donor board. So here's the donor board, and we're going to take missing filter. Here's our missing filter number 1. So we have verified that it's not no stuff. Now, if you want to carry around a little dude like this, like I tell the students, the secret, the unbelievable secret is open the tweezers. Yeah, don't close the tweezers. Open the tweezers. All right, now let's get this guy to lay down. That's probably okay. And probably those jumpers came off. All right, I'm going to replace this resistor that looks so majorly damaged. I can't count on that, and he does need to be there. All right, so we'll get rid of him. He's toast, but his feet don't look quite good enough. Got to make some puffy pillows, get some puffy pillows up in here so we can stick it back on. Lewis has been talking about business ethics, and I love the lesson in his last video. Oh, what was it? I lost track of him too, for months sometimes. Well, what was the business ethics lesson? Do tell. It is really funny. We have a case here that may be the most expensive data recovery that we've ever done for a phone. And when I first got here, the guy's like, "I'll pay anything," and it was like, "Well, we're not gonna upcharge you. You know, like you're gonna pay the price that we quoted. You know, it's a flat rate." And then we got into it. That phone it has occupied Brad for 5 days in a row, and it occupied me for 3 days in a row before that. It's on. It works. It's just getting the gargantuan quantity of data off of that phone, which is maxing out. We've had to like completely blank that 4 terabyte drive, and nothing can handle it. So it's maddening, just from a heavy data perspective. So yeah, we had to say, listen, we can't hold up the line for any one guy. We can give you back your phone just the way it is, but if you want us to keep trying to get this back up, it is going to be a little bit more. All right, which one are we going after, though? I think that one's there. We are going after the one, yeah, number 1, 2, yeah, it was that third one is there. It's the 4th one. Let's make sure, pro tip, take the right component. 1, 2, 3. We're going after number 4, a healthy looking, lovely resistor. Resistor number 4. Is that showing up hopefully for you guys? All right, open the tweezers and bring over the dead board. And stick it right on down. And make sure he's on there. Are you on there, buddy? Seems okay. Now we're too close to my jumpers that may actually still be intact, so now I'm going to switch over to wires, right? What if you cover the jumpers with Captain and aluminum tape? Well, then that certainly would not make them stick on. Then they would stick to the Captain tape when I heated them up, and they would definitely rip off instead of maybe stay on. So we will not do that. In general, you'll notice in any of our modern videos, we've completely given up the idea of any kind of Captain tape. We never use any kind of Captain tape because in our experience, it creates the problem that you're trying to solve. Look at that little tiny piece of the old beat up component was on that one. You create the problem you're trying to solve. If you're trying to keep your heat down, then crank your heat up, get in, get out. That's the way to keep the heat off the board. Crank it up, get in, get out. All right, let's see. Now you've got those 3 resistors, and then the next component after the 3 resistors is a filter. So we've got some filters. So we're gonna stick some wires to be the filters because I don't want to have to redo my jumpers if I don't already. All right, let's see. Let's see. iPhones are definitely tiny. If this doesn't work on the first try, then I probably will go grab a grain of rice to just stick on there. All right. That doesn't seem right. Doesn't have enough puffy pillow. All right, definitely helpful to get a thermal camera. For what? Chat says something about a thermal camera. I don't know what's going on. I always think it's pretty cool, people that can keep up with the chat and do a repair. The chat part is the hardest part. Keeping up with chat is far harder than putting this jumper on here. It is pretty hard to keep up in real time. Yeah, I'm still not really in love with that one, but we'll give it a chance. Let's see if I can locate any kind of an X-Acto knife so that I can cut this off. Oh, here we go. Here's one. All right. All right. Okay. Have any of you guys on chat updated an iPhone 6S to 15.5? Because apparently they don't like it. So tiny, super, super tiny. I feel like there might be a little bit of contamination of 138 paste on this guy because the puffy pillows are just not quite behaving like I'd like. All right, time for some diode mode. You have a 6S on 15.5. Is it working? Does it seem to be okay? Because I have heard a whole bunch of complaints. In fact, I hear Ryan on the back there complaining right now. He says, what happened? Not yet. It'll get 15.6. Everything works, so you don't notice any kind of slowdowns, and like I think they were clicking settings and not working. Interesting report. Is it full of storage or is it healthy with plenty of open space? We'll see. I will find out what happened. I don't really know. I just heard a lot of complaints. All right. Now let's kind of go down the road here in diode mode. What are we going to diode mode? iPhone 6 had a long run. Yes, yes it did. All right, I'm going to grab a multimeter. I'm going to switch the leads on this multimeter, in theory, with some of our new ultra fine point leads so that I can do this diode mode stuff. But I got to drop off this. Hope that's not loud. BRB. So chat says there's nothing wrong with 6S on 15.5. Well, that says it right there. So what are your symptoms back there with the 6S's? They freeze up?
Yeah, I mean things like it couldn't activate Bluetooth. It would freeze upon selecting anything in settings. It would freeze on trying to share voice memos.
Freezes on sharing voice memos.
And just weird stuff like that. And then all of a sudden it's on the beta and everything works perfectly.
But everything works on the beta. Okay. All right, we're going to go down this in diode mode, 0.3. And then this one is OL, which is supposed to be very high. So we're going to swap the leads. And then we'll just kind of come back and check on it. Let's go to its pad. Oh, I love these leads. Look at how close you can get. So down there on the pad, it's also OL. And let's see if we can split screen this. Let's get rid of the front cam. Let's bring up ZXW. But let's make it be side by side. Yeah, there we go. So that we can see. Now, if only I could get my on-screen multimeter to work instead of the truss-based multimeter, but we can't have everything. All right, so taking it from the top, OL is a match, 0.38 is a match, and then here I'm getting OL, which is pretty close to 1.8, but let's check and say, where does this go? 1.8 goes over here to R5785. And then on the other side is PP1V8 touch. All right, so let's just make sure, let's go back and do a continuity test. To just make sure in continuity mode, do we have a beep from our third pin to here? And we do, which tells me that all is well. I gotta turn this phone off. All right, so we have continuity. Oh, let's talk to Maisie. Hi, Maisie. Oh, I'm doing a video. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry for calling you.
Well, you can watch it on YouTube. I see that you're not a subscriber. Smash that like button. Did you know the name of my YouTube channel? It's iPad Rehab Microsoldering.
Oh.
You should look it up. Then you'll know exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to fix an iPhone 8 Plus that's really messed up. But don't worry, we're gonna fix it. All right.
Well, just a little bit worried that you got into an accident.
No tornadoes, no accidents. So
Is there actually a tornado warning?
yeah, but it's kind of fake news. You don't have to worry about a tornado.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay. Did you know that if you go over and click on YouTube, you'll be able to even hear yourself? Okay. All right. Bye. Bye, Maisie. So today I learned Maisie and Betsy don't watch my channel either. All right. See, I get it. It's pretty boring. I hear you. All right. 0.387 on the fourth one. 0.387 on the next one. 0.388. So far, so good. Let's move it up. So we've done all those. And now we're going to do the next chunk. All right. I don't actually remember which one was 0.411, so we'll have to go find it. There we go, 0.411, and then 0.388, and then 0.38 good. And then 0.3, and then a 0.5, close enough. And then a 0.5, close enough. And then our very high, aka OL, and then a 0.5, and then a couple OLs. All right, so far so good. So far so good. Everything is coming up like it's supposed to be. All right, so then let's scroll up. Let's actually start at the bottom. Hopefully you can still see that. The bottom of the connector, so we'll push this up as well. And we'll measure from the bottom, diode mode red probe on ground, 0.5, correct, 0.4, 0.5, 0.5, these are all our backlight pins. Uh-oh, OL, is that one supposed to be OL, the fifth one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's not. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're not supposed to be OL, you dirty, dirty bastard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I hope those girls aren't watching, or else they would have heard me say dirty, dirty bastard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's a problem, but we'll come back to that problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the next one is 0.5. And then there's our ground, and then 3, and then 3, and then we made it. All right, so on this side, we got to drill down and figure out why are we missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so let's check. Is it the connector? If it's the connector, then we will not have continuity. So we'll go to continuity test. And let's just check. If it's the connector, then when I go from here to number 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one, I would not get a beep. But I do get a beep. So that tells us our connector is not the problem. So what is the problem then? Well, let's find out. Let's drill down. This line is backlight anode. Backlight anode. Why would you be open when you're supposed to be 0.4? I'm going to guess it's somebody blew up your backlight. All right, so we got to go flip over to the other side of the board, and we need to check on R5730. And I betcha it's blown up or missing. But let's find out. All right, so we'll close this down, and we're going to go on hunt. Flip the board over, and let's see. Ooh, that's rough looking. Ooh, look at that ugly sticker. All right, let's go on a hunt to dig up that backlight resistor. All right, let's see. iPhone 13 Pro, spare 6S, and first gen SE. Well, that was the other one I was hearing complaints about, the first gen SE. Oh, it's really juicy all under this sticker. Man, the sticker itself is even pretty beat up. What is that? Flux? Okay, well, look at that. Looky there. Are you guys able to see just the color difference? Look at the silver shiny looking resistor. You see that? Let me show you. Let's bring back front camera. See that? Right. Oh, you can't see it. Normal components look like this. Shiny, shiny, shiny. But look under the little lip at the little sideways dude. He looks just a little bit burnt. So we're going to have to investigate. Let's go on a hunt. We're going to dig him up. Maybe this was the problem all along, although I doubt it, because then you would have had half dim backlight and you could have recovered the data long before you got into as much trouble as this guy got into. All right. So we're just going to even up this bracket by making a nice clean break through the wiggle method, the patented iPad Rehab wiggle method. There we go. It's not really patented. Anyone, feel free. All of you, you're authorized wigglers. Feel free to wiggle as much as you want. All right. So now let's take this guy off. This looks like a job for the mini hot tweezers, don't you say? Because I would rather not heat up the board and then have to ruin all of that work that we just did. So let's try and get him off. That's a little tight on the bracket on that side. Let's see if we have better luck on this side. Note to self, time for a new set of mini hot tweezers because this one has finally bent too much to be usable. All right. There you go, buddy. All right, now what are we going to put there in its place? I am going to put in its place something that I have nearby. So backlight is not one where, if I can help it, I'm going to try hard not to make a wire. Let's see if we have anything left in this strip that looks like a filter. This seems like it'll be close enough. Oh, we got 2 of them. All right. We only need 1 of them. All right, how close is this to my connector? Will I be able to get this on without damage to the connector? Because I kind of want to use hot air. We're going to try it. Maybe I will regret it. I will definitely. You guys just recovered my phone 4 days ago. Well, that is great to hear. Unless your phone was this 13 Pro Max that I want to throw in the trash can, in which case, please come and get it. All right, that's on there. Okay, so now we've replaced that poor damaged thing, and we're going to go back and see what's going on here on pin number 5. Will it show us an OL, which is wrong, or will we get a nice juicy diode mode reading? All right, let's see. That is real small. It is extremely small. That is very, very small. All right, number 5 pin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is now 0.4, so that is correct as well. All right, now on the other side of the connector, is it even worth it to diode mode, or can we just say everything looks fine? I vote that we say everything looks fine. So we do have one more problem to fix. We have one more problem to fix, which is we got to go fix our battery data line. So here's what I'm talking about. We've got some damage where we're missing a MOSFET that's important for relaying our battery data all the way through to the CPU. And without this missing MOSFET, the phone might come on, but it won't charge and it won't stay on long enough for us to get all the data. So we are going to fix that before we test. So let's go. Let's go to ZXW, everyone. If I can find my way there. To ZXW. And we're going to bring ZXW back to its main place right there. And we're going to go look that thing up. Okay, so the missing one is Q3200, so this guy. And the 2 things that need to be connected are the I2C0, so this is the one that's going on to the CPU, and this one that's coming from the battery connector. Now the pad here is also pretty ripped up. The pad's gone, but we might be able to see the little nub there. So the good news is that we do have pad number 2 is intact, and that's the important one. So what we need to do is to get from pad 2 to the battery connector, one way or another. So the first thing we'll do is investigate. Put our eyeballs on it and say, can we make a tiny jumper? Will a little micro baby jumper work? And it will only work if we can actually solder. Man, that is mighty darn small. That is, oh, that's Really, really tiny. In fact, it's worth it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get a grain of rice. All right. Short intermission. The rice is right here. We're going I hope it's not super loud when I mess with the microphone. Probably is. Sorry. All right. Let's actually see how small, how tiny. So I've got 1 grain of rice. We're going to drop it on here. Whoa, look at that. That is what we're doing. Compared to a grain of rice. I'm gonna leave this here for streams in general. So this enormous grain of rice. What do you guys think? Is that about what you expected on the tiny, super tiny scale? Yeah, I mean, look at the, what phone is this? This is an 8 Plus. Yeah, look at all the jumpers that we made earlier. Way tiny compared to a grain of rice. Look at that. That's huge. In fact, you know what would be kind of fun to like, you know how people like do art with the grain of rice? It'd be fun to make this into like a little pointer. What do you think about that, Ryan? Should we make like a grain of rice, like a little arrow that like points to things like, you know, diode mode right here or something like that? I think that would be pretty fun. All right, so I'm pointing with the rice at exactly the spot. It's right there. So looking in that tiny, little, super tiny spot, I can just barely see the copper. Do you see that copper? The little tiny, that's tiny, that's small. All right, so we got to get connected either that copper to pad number 2 or pad number 2 over to the much larger pin of the battery connector. Let's see how hard it is. All right, let's see how hard it is. Okay, let's put a little flux on there. Uh-oh, got a grain of rice. It's trying to dry up the flux. I think it'd be fun. I think that it would be fun to do some like grain of rice art. I bet we could do it. I wonder what kind of tools they use to like carve a grain of rice. All right, so what I'm doing now is just trying to tin the nub without tinning the adjacent ground. All right, let's go from a different angle. I don't know, little rice guy might be cramping my style a little bit. Yeah, that is one where if I had to do that, I think what I would do is file down a micro pencil blade. Because this is just too big of a mini hot tweezers, you're just too big. Getting in there to tin the nub. All right, that's just gonna take too long. It's doable, but what I would do is micro pencil. Micro pencil could get in there. Mini hot tweezers is the wrong tool, and I would file it down, but that could get in there. Not worth it though. Let's go ahead and make the great big long jumper. Since this is going to be a data recovery phone anyway. All right, so let's take a little bit of a longer jumper wire. We're going to use the silver wire. All right, let's see. Put a drop of water on the board with a grain touching it captured. This is the only way that it works. Yeah, that would be pretty funny. All right, let's grab a little tiny piece of silver jumper wire. All right, so we're just gonna go nice and easy. Huge, plenty of space to stick a jumper. Let's get rid of that. And let's get a little bit more space and we'll stick it right there. All right, let's see. Hi Jessa, I'm pretty new to board level repairs. Today I did my first successful board repair on an iPhone 6 replacement TriStar. Good job, Jason. Now I can only hope that that board was working, because that's the ideal way to learn, is to work on working boards like we just said. Then if you've got one that charges and you change TriStar and it still charges, then you know it worked. Hopefully yours worked and it fixed something for you, because that's really, really fun for the first time you get one of those done. I know that. All right, let's move the rice, the obligatory rice. And we'll just make a nice, easy jumper. Nice and easy. That battery connector is pretty rough, though. Pretty rough. I don't know. Jessa, are you a real mom working from home? I'm a real mom who just told who just told my kids, no, I wasn't in an accident, and no, they don't need to be afraid of the tornado watch, because I have run into the shop. I was at home. I was at home like all day, right? I was fact check true. Yes, I was at home. I even made pork tenderloin and.
No way. That's what's for dinner at my house.
What?
Impossible.
What kind of recipe did your mom use?
Well, she just like gets the pre-made one, I think, and just throws it in the oven.
Oh, well.
So, anticlimactic.
That is pretty anticlimactic. No, I'm.
Does the trick.
No, I did the whole like brown it on all four sides and cut it up and made a little I made a Dijon mustard glaze. I mean, the thing was pretty awesome. And then I made disgusting rice for Bailey. And then I left them all to come here. All right, let's see. She's not a real mom. She's the mom. Thanks, Rodrigo. All right. Now we have restored diode mode to our battery data lines. How do we know? Because we just checked. So that jumper must be working, because we no longer have an open line there. We get 0.3, and on the other side we're getting a 0.7, which means that this other guy is indeed intact. So let's just wiggle off the end of that jumper using the patented wiggle method. And let's see, there we go. All right, let me just make sure that's still true. All right, hi Jessa from Gatineau, Quebec. A lot of you Canadians. Must be a good night for watching board repair in Canada. Okay, looks good. Dare we test it? I think it's time, because I got to make sure I get home before a tornado hits, even if that tornado is fictitious or not a real problem. I have an iPad that I did a TriStar repair on 6th gen. Now it will only charge with a 20-watt charger. But a 5-watt charger, we'll call it to reboot. It reboots to the lock screen and then reboots. Solution: use a 20-watt charger. Problem solved. One of the things I like to say a lot is we only fix problems that are problems. In fact, all iPads, you really want to use those big chargers. A lot of them get really cranky, and they'll work just fine until the battery's stone dead or something like that. So don't test them. Also, Ryan, I stole your multimeter, so if you're wondering where it is, there it is.
I'm in no position.
Really? I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I probably would have preferred outrage. Okay, so we have fixed everything that was obviously wrong, and now we're going to just hope it turns on, right? Okay, so we're going to put away the microscope camera, and let's dig out the hand camera. So we're going to push that away. Got our donor boards over here, and we've got a lot of cords for the cameras and whatnot. All right, here's our dude. Let's zoom in on him. There we go. And this will either be a short conclusion to the video or a long, frustrating maddening. Why did this just go off? Okay, still alive. All right. I have learned, in addition to no longer doing simple math in public, I no longer try to connect things without putting on some glasses. Had to give that up. All right. It would be nice. Okay, here's this. Ryan, do you know anything about a screen labeled sus?
Sus has touch on the bottom half of the screen, but not confirmed.
Okay, so we'll go with the one that doesn't say sus.
That sus screen has worked, but also.
Yeah, we'll just take any other screen other than sus. All right. The worst case, this is going to suck when it boots up to press home to recover. Then you'll get to hear some grade A cussing. Then I'll have to make sure Betsy and Maisie are not watching this stream. Oh, I was not able to connect it because of the giant grain of rice. All right, we'll have to move the, what should we call that thing? The obligatory rice grain. We'll have to like put it in a little cup and just break it out when something seems like it should boot up, but it doesn't. And then we'll just bring out the rice and then it'll start working. Okay, we'll connect to DC power supply. All right, little rice, I think you've done enough here. You've served us well. All right, connected. So far, so good. It's the moment of truth, guys. What's gonna happen? Will it be cussing or cheers? Let's find out. Let's prompt it to boot. And let's see. Nothing. Great. Fantastic. We're no better off than that guy was. Oh my God, I see an Apple logo. Yay! That scared me. All right, you better boot up now, mofo. That scared me. That scared me. I almost had to break this board in half. All right, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Congrats. It's alive. Yay! It booted up. It booted up.
Nice.
And he's got the wrong passcode. Oh, because of course he's got the wrong passcode. Fantastic. That's...
On his board?
Huh?
Is that on his board?
Is what on his board? His passcode?
Wait, is it a split board?
No. It's a... No.
Wait, that's different sus screen.
You have a second screen that's sus?
Well, any sus ones, I just label them sus. I think there's 3 things in the shop right now that are labeled sus by me.
Okay.
They exist, but should be avoided.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, let me just make sure that I. Yeah, he gave us the wrong passcode. All right. I want to break up with him too. I already hate this guy. That's right. Whatever he had coming to him. All right. Okay. Well, we can't do anything else to recover the data with the wrong passcode. All right. So there we go. It boots. It has touch. And all we need is that passcode. Better get it. You're going to have to call her up. You're going to have to come clean. You're just going to have to lay it all out. You're going to say, listen, honey, I'm sorry. I knocked off your image filter. And then I didn't realize it, but then I also blew your backlight filter. And I tried so hard. Baby, I tried. I screwed it in. I cleaned the connectors. I spent hours on this, and I'm sorry. I just couldn't get it done. But don't you worry. I've got all your data safe and sound. All I need from you is to give me that correct passcode. And then it's all going to be better. It's all coming back to you. All right, you're going to have to say that to her. You're going to have to man up. You're going to have a hard chat so that we can get all of the data off of this 8 Plus and put it onto any other 8 Plus other than this one and be back in business. All right, that is your good old-fashioned live repair stream on this lovely Thursday night. And I will see you guys next time when I inevitably fail at trying to program an aftermarket 12 or 13 screen with an OEM number. we'll see. Probably not going to work. All right, win. Okay, we'll see you.